It's Remy's Daily Drops, and we got a video today on Tartaria, the Empire of Tartaria. The Empire of Tartaria. So let's get to the bottom of this shit, man, because this is some crazy shit, bro. I've been hearing about Tartaria for a while now, and it's crazy how we had to figure it out because they definitely weren't trying to teach us about this shit in school, bro. And like, this shit's like seriously some thought provoking ass shit, bro. So let's get into this video, y'all.
What if one of the most advanced civilizations on Earth was erased from history? For hundreds of years, old maps showed something strange. Across massive parts of Asia, Europe, and even into North America, there was a name written over huge territories: Tartaria. But by the 1800s, the name suddenly disappears from maps. And that's where the real mystery begins. Because around the same time, cities across the world were filled with massive, highly advanced architecture, buildings with giant domes, ornate towers, and incredibly detailed stonework that would be difficult to reproduce even today. Some researchers believe these weren't built during the Industrial Age. They were inherited, remnants of an earlier civilization that already understood advanced engineering. Then there are the bells. Old cities were filled with enormous bell towers. Not just church bells, massive resonating structures. Some theories suggest these bells worked with the buildings themselves, using sound and vibration to interact with something called the ether, a natural energy field many scientists once believed filled the universe. Even early railroad systems raise questions, tracks appearing across continents before many of the regions were fully populated, infrastructure that seemed to appear almost overnight. Supporters of the Tartarian theory believe this lost civilization may have harnessed free energy technologies through architecture, resonance, and the natural energy of the Earth. Then something happened, a massive collapse, a reset, or a rewriting of history. The empire vanished, the technology disappeared, and the surviving buildings were simply rebranded as monuments of a new era.
What if everything you've been told about the Great Wall of China is backwards? What if it's actually facing the wrong direction to be protecting China? What if it was built by Tartaria because the threat wasn't where we were told it was? Look at how it's designed. The structure tells a different story. When you examine the structure closely, some things just don't add up. Imagine it: vast airships drifting over the mountains, lowering colossal stone segments with magnetic cranes. Harmonic resonance devices humming in the valleys, each frequency lifting granite like it weighed nothing. Etheric energy towers lining the ridges, sparking blue currents across the landscape, fusing the stones together without mortar. The design itself doesn't match China's known dynasties. The repeating arches, the geometric precision, the orientation to the Earth's magnetic grid, all point to a civilization that mastered architecture through sound and energy. Legends whisper of sky builders, beings of impossible size and skill, who shaped mountains as easily as clay. And when the resonance faltered, something else came through. The wall became more than a barrier, it became a seal. Now the question isn't who were they keeping out, but what did Tartaria trap behind those endless stones? And as parts of it crumble, what if that ancient seal is breaking? How much of our history has been rewritten to hide what they really built it for? Follow now, before this piece of the past fades again.
The Tartarian stuff?
Basically what it believes is there was like a reset of history.
The mud flood?
Yeah, that wiped everything out. But this was like recent history, that there was an advanced civilization, and the evidence they point to is like, look how cool post-Roman architecture
is. It matches like all over the world, like the Taj Mahal, the Capitol building.
Yeah, they couldn't have done that with hammers and chisels. They must have been this advanced society, and it's being hidden for some sort of nefarious purpose. There was an area in Russia that was the Tartar region, and the people there were Muslim. Stalin was a staunch atheist, and part of institutional communism was the eradication of any religious system. He essentially wiped the Tartar people from history. The CIA document is basically saying this was an effort by Stalin to make the Russian people believe that this community never existed.
Which is crazy.
Not because they possessed advanced technologies, but because they were a religious minority. This kind of like kooky Russian mathematician who is literally attempting to rewrite history. His name's Fomenko. He believes modern history is all a lie. 500 years were added on to the calendar to create this cycle of history that rewrites it. But you could see how something like that could be used for geopolitical purposes if people are conditioned to believe something. You know what I mean?
So this map is over 400 years old and shows Tartarus people. Find that very interesting. And then they're all decked out. Check it out.
I really fuck with old maps, bro. They tell a lot.
I don't know what kind of hand symbol that is. Looks like West Coast. It's funny. Anyways, there's just a lot of neat stuff. Check out the whole map here. It has drawings and depictions all the way through it. It's showing the Asia area, 1614, and I'm sure we're gonna find a lot of neat things here. First off, look at the Great Wall of China, whatever you want to call it. It goes all the way through, and then you have some writings here about one side being Tartarum and the other side being Lucarum. I didn't have time to translate this, so if anybody wants to translate it and put it in the comments, please do. Appreciate you. And then, look, you here have Mongol, which is Magog. And then you have Ung, which is Gog. And then that's in the Tartar area. And then you have the ocean Tartarus. So, like, Tartaria is all over this thing. Like, everywhere. And then you have the different cities that are, decked out already. 1600s, look at that. Towers and castles and houses and walls. Makes no sense. That's an interesting looking dude. Interesting. Anyways, that is China at the time there. And then we have Mayako. Not sure where that's at. And comment if anybody knows where that's at. What else we got here? Goya. Wow, it's all decked out. It's huge. And then you got Jerusalem here. Jerusalem is all decked out, huh? No J back then, just an I. What do you know? Tartaria guy. The Tartaria guy. Pretty cool. And we have a den. Again, look at the buildings. When were they actually built? And then you have the Molar Tatarka. I guess that would be a female Tartaria, right? And you got Chinese, Arabic, Lebanese. Look at the hand symbol again, pretty wild. And then below, they're showing a few other areas. I don't know where that's at, Arasso Bay. But check that out. Okay, so look back there, the building and everything, and look kind of how it is. They got it all decked out, the little walls up all the way around it. Interesting. And then, don't know who that cat is, but obviously a kingship again, Rex. So I think each one of those are kings of the areas. Ceylon. Sila. Sorry, there's no in there. Calcut. I know this area. Look at that, built out. And we got Persia here. Ormus.
Oh, that map is tight as hell, bro. I love that.
Takarum.
Interesting.
The crown up there.
So when they be trying to
Bantam.
receipts on these buildings and shit, that ain't the real receipts.
It's pretty wild looking. Different.
They'll say some shit like that.
And we got
2 years on here built.
Molusi. I don't butcher these names, but yeah, interesting. I don't know this one. I don't know where this is at. I should too, probably. And Gamalama. Look how everything is just straight lined on this. It's very different than everything else. Like, it's almost like a military camp or something. Different, interesting. Comment if you know where that's at. I don't even know where that's at. Never seen that name, and I see a lot of different maps. It's interesting. I'll have to look into that more. And then we just have a couple other people here. We're missing in China again. Decked out. And then we'll hit our Tartaria guy last. And anyways, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following. Thanks for being a part of this. Comment your thoughts on this map. And as always, stay curious. Until next time.
They turned the ether grid against itself, hijacked the seismic fields, triggered a resonance collapse. Stone became liquid, mountains bled, the ground rose and swallowed whole cities. That's what the mud was. Not sediment, not floodwater. Resonance fallout from a frequency war. Tartarian cities weren't primitive. They were powered by resonant architecture, buildings designed to generate and receive frequency. Domes, antennas, star forts, giant tuning forks disguised as monuments. These structures didn't just look beautiful, they harnessed free energy pulled from the ether, distributed wirelessly through geometry and sound. The enemy didn't just want to destroy the people, they needed to shut down the grid. And to do that, they had to collapse the frequency field. There's a phenomenon called soil liquefaction. Vibrate the ground at just the right frequency, and the solid turns to sludge. Not water, not mud, but a state change triggered by vibration. The earth becomes a trap. Foundations fail, stone sinks. And if it's done on a massive scale, you get the mud flood. It didn't fall from the sky, it rose from beneath, triggered by resonance weapons. This was geoacoustic warfare, and it worked. Ancient texts speak of trumpets that leveled cities, walls that fell from shouting, temples that hummed themselves into collapse. These weren't myths, they were acoustic weapons. Tartaria likely had its own frequency defenses, so to break it, the controllers needed tech even stronger, tuned to the exact harmonic signature of Tartarian architecture. This wasn't random destruction, it was targeted dissonance, resonance sabotage, the same way opera singers shatter glass, but scaled up to city-wide collapse. Every reset needs a story, a cover, a myth, and so they blamed it on floods, natural disasters, time, chaos. They rewrote the maps, changed the calendars, buried the history, literally. But the truth is buried in plain sight. They silenced the cathedrals, they shattered the grid. But they didn't stop using sound, they just inverted it. The war of frequency never ended, it just changed pitch. Modern cities don't just look soulless, they're engineered to be spiritually sterile. Box shapes, low ceilings, right angles that deflect energy, fluorescent lighting that drains your aura. None of it flows, none of it sings. Compare it to Tartaria, vaulted domes, spirals, gold leaf, sacred ratio.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but the reason why they tried so hard to erase Tartaria and Tartarian technology is because a particular group was not a part of it.
Most of the photos we are given, the videos we are given of history, are staged productions, perhaps even on studio sets. The scenes at the beach are the most obvious ones in my opinion though. Just look at it all. This is San Francisco Hill House. They all look far too rehearsed and far too well dressed for a beach. No swimming, no towels, just posing around at a beach, looking like what they would think a beachgoer would be doing.
Do you see that right there? Do you see that airship right there? Do you see that flying ship right there? That's how they were traveling around. They weren't out with the little railroads and steam engines and everything else that they told you. Right there. That is the most important picture you will ever see of the old world. Airships. They have been in the air for a long period of time. The airships, the blimps, all of those things. This is why they destroyed all of that. This is why they had the Hindenburg incident. This is why they got rid of that technology. Because people have been in the air since the 1800s and the 1700s. You have been sold a bill of lies on that the Wright brothers created the first airplane who weren't even paying attention. They weren't even paying attention when the first airplane was flying because people were already in the air. Right there. That is the old world. So flying around in airships, okay? Flying around in airships and building buildings like this, the technology was already here. That's what it was. It connects to helium, it connects to radium, it connects to uranium, it connects to all those things. And all of the world's fairs were all resets. Throughout America and throughout the world, they reset each city and they destroyed the technology to sell it back to you later on in life.
Did they erase Tartaria? 1776 was the year everything changed. In 1776, the Illuminati was founded in Bavaria. The Rothschild banking empire began its global expansion. The American Revolution broke out. Tartaria began to disappear from the maps, all in the same year. Coincidence? Tartaria was not a myth. It was a vast, ancient civilization with advanced free energy technology, great architecture using sacred geometry, a harmonious way to live with natural law, knowledge of the ether. They buried Tartaria, literally, with mud floods, natural disasters, and a new history. Once they buried the old world, they created the new one. Central banks, slavery by debt, maritime law, artificial scarcity, indoctrination through education, all funded by the same families. The Rothschilds didn't just fund empires, they funded restarts and deleted everything that didn't serve the system of control. Tartaria was way too free, way too advanced, way too powerful. So they turned everything upside down. Free energy became fossil fuel. The truth became a conspiracy. The spirit became religion. Nature has become a resource. Freedom became an illusion. 1776 wasn't the beginning, it was the cover. We are the generation that rediscovers what they tried to delete. Tartaria was real. The ether is real. And the truth is no longer hidden. Did they erase Tartaria? 1770.
Hold on. You're telling me they didn't build this temple?
Not even close. They didn't stack stones. They carved straight down into a mountain. From the top, into a single solid rock.
You mean Kailasa Temple?
The very one. Over 90 feet tall, but none of it was assembled. They removed more than 200,000 tons of stone. Without machinery, without steel cutters. And what they revealed is insane.
The towers, the halls, the statues?
All one piece. Not built. Exposed. Walk inside and you'll see elephants, columns, shrines, a central tower. Every detail carved with surgical precision, and it survived over 1,000 monsoons like it was nothing.
But who recorded how they did it?
That's the thing. No one. No blueprints, no timeline, no ancient texts. Just the finished temple, as if it appeared fully formed.
So what are we looking at? A miracle? A mathematical masterpiece?
Or evidence that someone, thousands of years ago, understood stone and geometry in a way we still don't.
When you look deeper into the Tartarian Empire, you will also realize that there was a huge population of white giants, which some have defined as the Tartarian giants. Walking through any ornate building from the time of the Old World Empire, and you'll notice odd proportions. Doorways towering 12 to 20 feet high, staircases with enormous steps, and ceilings 3 times higher than what we see today. Who would use such towering designs if not the Tartarian giants? Furthermore, historical accounts speak for themselves. During the 1800s and early 1900s, newspapers regularly reported the discoveries of enormous skeletons across the United States of America. Some of the skeletons were reported to have measured 8 and even 9 feet in height. The records of Smithsonian Institution from this period mention numerous acquisitions of unusually large human remains. But here's the suspicious part. If you try to find any of these massive skeletons in museum collections today, they've all vanished. Such institutions seems to have systematically removed these remains from public view. Why? Because acknowledging the existence of the Tartarian giants would fundamentally challenge our understanding of the bogus theory of evolution and human development, raising uncomfortable questions about what happened to them and how humans from the modern age inherited the remnants of the Old World Empire.
The people who were fighting, when they were fighting in these wars, they were fighting for these buildings. Like, these buildings had been around for such a long period of time, and different people would inhabit them or take them, and then the people around them would fight them for them. And it just blew my mind because I found these pictures of castles where they just have moats and all kinds of things around them, and now they don't have any of that. And I started thinking through each fight or war or whatever it was of these different people, then all of a sudden things kind of got broken down. But it really started to make me question everything. And then I found one book which kind of blew my mind, The Boy's Book of Airships. And they were explaining flight in 1783. But flight was not displayed until about 1901 with the World Fair. So it's made me start to realize that a lot of stuff goes back a lot farther. There's nothing new under the sun. And the more I would explore this topic and just kind of, just pick one, like flight or materials, whatever, nothing added up. And I realized that because these buildings, when you walk into them, I went into a couple cathedrals in New York City. When you walk into them, they touch your soul. It's very hard to explain, but you get goosebumps and you can feel this building. And I found footage from that building from 1899.
I found a very old map that shows our calendar completely different. I dive into old maps and I find some crazy anomalies. And this one shows the beginning of the year starting in March. Oh, and you can also see right here, shows paradise or like Garden of Eden in like the Asia area. But we'll save that for another video. I want to talk about the calendars here. And please comment if you have any thoughts on this, but calendars used to start in March or April, and then they changed everything. I don't know if you knew this. Also, they used to have 13 months, which were like lunar calendars. This one shows 12 months here, but it shows the beginning. I'll just zoom out. You can see the whole freaking map. It's beautiful. 1452, and it shows the beginning up top here at March. Marchal. I don't know how you pronounce that in Latin, but this is all in Latin. If you ever took Latin in school growing up, hit me up in the comments. I'm very curious on who actually took Latin. I took Latin as a kid growing up, and I wish I could read this better on this map, but I love this map because it's a real old map. It's not like a reprint or anything. It's the real deal. Check it out. It's so cool. This guy only did 3 of these. And if you look around, I would love to be able to read like all the different stuff along here that coordinated with, he had the alphabet in there along with the numbers. Just really neat. I'm going to try to find his he only had 2 other maps he did, but I'm going to try to find them as well to see if there's anything I can find on there. Like, I would love to be able to understand what was actually written here and put through these areas, but just thought it was a really cool, interesting map. There's a lot of different anomalies on here. You can check it out. Like, here's Babylon right there, which was really cool and interesting. But we'll do more on this map and more videos. Please stay tuned. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. And until next time.
So again, Palmer Cathedral, an unbelievable structure that was supposedly built in the year 1229. Now, just to give that some context, the first steam engine wasn't invented until the late 1600s. So I'm supposed to believe that this was built in a time when hand and chisel was the tool of use, and there wasn't even a way of getting all the material here other than horse and cart. You've got to be joking. Look at the size of it. So yeah, Palmer Cathedral, an absolute, I mean, it stands out like a sore thumb compared to most of the buildings around here. But straight away, a few things that I recognise. You can see the horseshoe shape everywhere, all over the building, where the windows would have been, at the top of the spires, etc. Looks like there's some scaffolding going on, so maybe some restoration work. I doubt very much it will be to the quality of the original build. So yeah, once again, just blown away at the thought that people think this was built in the year 1229, which is about 400 years before the first steam engine was even invented, let alone a power tool. So apparently all this was done with hand and chisel. Just so you know what you're looking at here, in case you are unaware, you see the designs in these windows and the smaller circles, etc. We see them in lots of buildings. These aren't by accident. This is something called cymatics, which is it's frequency. For example, if you play sound through water, or if you put sand on top of a speaker, you can often make different shapes. A lot of people think those shapes can be used, or those frequencies can be used for healing. So I've pointed this out when I was at Prague Castle/Cathedral. The horseshoe. We will see the horseshoe shape time and time again across all of these buildings. Sometimes as windows, sometimes as doors, sometimes blocked out like this. But if you notice, it's the horseshoe everywhere. And again, it's not accidental. This shows massively intelligent design by whoever built this, not us. Because the horseshoe is a really, really, really strongly shaped magnet. It's specifically used even today in generators. And I'm suggesting this could be an old energy generator building. And it's also used in the medical industry because you can pinpoint the electromagnetism on certain parts of the body. Now, as the same with a lot of these old world energy centers, which we inherited and now call cathedrals and castles, etc., you'll notice that at the top of the spires, you often have this almost jagged antiquitech, and it's repeated all over. My belief is that this design is not accidental, but it's used as a way, or it was used by whoever built it, as a way to pull energy out of the ether which is around us. There is energy all around us, frequency, etc. But one thing that I really want to point out here is this. If you know your symbolism, you will know that this is an extremely occult image that you're looking at. Now again, don't get me wrong, as massive and as unbelievable as these buildings are, that we are told are cathedrals and castles, which I don't believe was built by us in a time when supposedly we were rolling around in horse and cart, hand and chisel, etc. I just can't buy that, you know? But imagine if this was only the tip of the building. Imagine if actually it went a lot further underground, you know? You have to ask, why are the doors, etc., so huge? Who were they built for? Even around the back here at Parma Cathedral. I mean, look at the size of these doors. You can see where they've had to cut out normal size doors within whatever there was there before. Absolutely gigantic. Look at the intricacy on all of the antiquitech that we see, which is repeated over and over and over again, all over the building, to the same standard, you know? Can you imagine trying to do that with hand and chisel? It's like laser precision that we're looking at.
So it's said that there was a great reset of 1776, and the footage you're viewing is from the Vatican. This is not AI, but this is the Tartarian Moors, M-U-U-R-S, wars that took place with the former advanced technology before it was reset and imploded upon itself. As you can see the flying crafts, and you can see the advanced anti-gravity technology, and you can see the Aether technology being used to empower every device. This is said to be actual leak footage from Vatican files from those in the Vatican who thought the world needed to see this old footage. But for entertainment purposes only, we're going to say it's alleged that this is real footage from the Vatican. What is said before 1776, even in 1492, or what is now known as 1492, the advanced technology of airships existed. And this is the ramification of a war that broke out hundreds of years later in 1776, which was the final stand for the Tartarian Moor Empire here in the United States, as well as on other continents. This was the beginning of the end. And these Vatican files that you are seeing were released by someone who's unknown that thought the world should see it.
What if history is a lie and the Tartaria mud flood is proof? The mud flood theory claims a global disaster buried entire cities, wiping out the Tartarian civilization. Then history was rewritten to erase them. Why? Because Tartarians allegedly harness free energy, pulling power from the atmosphere through advanced architecture. A world with free energy meant no control through oil, gas, or electric monopolies. The elite couldn't allow that, so they erased Tartaria from history. The evidence? Buried buildings, underground windows, and grand structures that seemed too advanced for their time, many appearing centuries older than official records claim. If the mud flood really happened, then everything we've been told about history is a lie. So the real question is, what else have they covered up?
The Rothschilds destroyed Tartaria. Please, let me explain. Their timeline is exactly the same as the reset. Take a look at this. If you look at the Rothschilds timeline, it's the same as the Great Reset in 1776. Look at this, guys. It's uncanny. When the Rothschilds were becoming established, it's exactly the same time as when Tartaria was on their downfall and the reset was happening. Has anyone ever looked at this? It's obvious, guys. Again, in 1776, it's the same timeline as the Rothschilds timeline. When they were coming into power, it was the same time as the Great Reset, guys, and the mud flood. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Also, this is the Rothschilds' humble abode. Look at the etheric energy on top. I think they were a Tartarian family, and they took over, and they knew exactly what was happening, so they made a new world order. Also, the Rothschilds connected to the Oddfellows. The Oddfellows were in charge of all the orphanages through the reset, and the Cabbage Patch Kids. Bit weird, Jack. Also, the Rothschilds funded all the wars, and the wars were only there to destroy all of the old world architecture, guys. Ain't it really adding up now? Understand? And last but not least, the Rothschilds loaned £400,000 back in 1850. Today, that would be 4.7 billion to the Catholic Church. Come on, guys. They took it from old world to new world, can't you see? And they also destroyed all of the world fairs.
Not only did they erase Tartaria, 1776 was the year everything changed. In 1776, the Illuminati was founded in Bavaria. The Rothschild banking empire began its global expansion. The American Revolution broke out. Tartaria began to disappear from the maps, all in the same year. Coincidence? Tartaria was not a myth. It was a vast, ancient civilization with advanced free energy technology, great architecture using sacred geometry, a harmonious way to live with natural law, knowledge of the ether. They buried Tartaria, literally, with mud floods, natural disasters, and a new history. Once they buried the old world, they created the new one. Central banks, slavery by debt, maritime law, artificial scarcity, indoctrination through education, all funded by the same families. The Rothschilds didn't just fund empires, they funded restarts and deleted everything that didn't serve the system of control. Tartaria was way too free, way too advanced, way too powerful. So they turned everything upside down.
Oh, you son of a bitch. What have you done? Now can somebody tell me, what in tarnations is going on? It's like these men had the cheat code. They had the cheat code. They was building buildings for fun. They had bricks for days. Like, you have to understand. Let's just say there was no electricity, that they was using hammers and chisels and horse and wagon. Listen, you gotta take your hat off to these people. Because how did they build these structures? And they got wicked with it. They didn't just build no little tin pan, little shed. These men built structures that could not only last the test of time, they also look beautiful. Now just take a look at this. Absolutely magnificent. We don't build structures like this. It's like these guys had the capability and the manpower to do anything they liked. They wasn't just building structures, they was making art. I can't believe that we once believed the mainstream narrative. I can't believe that we once believed a lie. But those days are over, because what happens in the dark must come to the light.
Hay edificios en tu ciudad que no construimos nosotros. Tartaria, un imperio en todos los mapas antiguos desde 1570 ocupando medio planeta. Búscalo. Pero a mediados del 1800 empiezan a aparecer edificios imposibles. Capitolios con cúpulas de cientos de toneladas. Catedrales con miles de ventanas idénticas. Arquitectura que no cuadra. Porque en 1850 teníamos caballos y martillos. Cero electricidad. Cero maquinaria pesada. Te dijeron que la revolución industrial los construyó. Pero no existían grúas para mover bloques de 200 toneladas. No había tecnología de corte preciso. ¿Cómo entonces? Esos edificios ya estaban ahí. Eran de Tartaria. Y fíjate el patrón. Cuando los edificios aparecen en 1800, Tartaria desaparece de los mapas. 1700. Tartaria en medio continente. 1850. Más chica. 1900. Borrada. Quemaron bibliotecas, reescribieron enciclopedias, destruyeron registros. Somos jugadores nuevos en un mapa viejo. Ocupamos edificios sin saber cómo funcionan. Guerras que destruyen edificios específicos. Pandemias que resetean. No es casualidad. Esto es realidad filtrada. La civilización que borraron hace 100 años. Las pruebas están en tu ciudad.
Alright, y'all, that's the episode today on Tartaria. Let me know how y'all liked it. Hi, babe.